Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 245, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and I like turtles. This is...
Lotus Prince. I also like turtles.
I like zombies.
Yeah, it's great.
We are, of course, referring to an ancient meme at this point of a kid dressed up in zombie makeup, like on some like random like
on
news.
Halloween.
Yeah, he was like on a news interview. Like they ask him like about a festival that's going on.
What do you think, little boy?
Yeah,
like,
and he's just I like turtles. Like totally
what?
out of context.
And the reporter like extremely awkwardly had to be like, okay, it's great. like how the fuck do you respond to that?
It's so funny. Gotta look it up. It's wholesome too. It's wholesome.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, but this is our second episode, our secret of the ooze, if you will, of our experiences with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've pretty much covered the NES era. We actually haven't even gotten through the NES era. We've basically just done the arcade game mostly, right?
Yeah, we mentioned 3 for like a second.
Yeah, so we should mention we haven't even really done the NES games as a whole, though. Like we talked about.
We mentioned that they existed. Yeah, that's kind of we mostly focused on arcade stuff and like Turtles in Time arcade, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we mostly talked about the movie and the TV show, and the comic. So the first movie at that, which is aged remarkably well. You would think that a movie that was churned out just to like take advantage of a trend would be pretty bad, and
the second
good.
Movie aged just as well with the Vanilla Ice concert.
And who's like Big Van Vader was the guy who was Super Shredder? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember, but like you couldn't tell anyway. He's in the movie for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, so one of the worst climaxes.
Yeah, because it was terrible. So cool, and then it's over, and he took himself out, and the turtles did nothing, and you're like, oh, okay.
And it turns out he just can't swim. That's the thing. You know,
he's just kind of an idiot. He broke a pier on top of his own head, and it's like, well,
it appears
he looked cool by. Oh yeah, we'll go do the pun before we lose the timing.
But yeah, no, we'll get to that. But I do.
He was punching through columns because it looks cool, and then he forgot that they were load-bearing columns.
But the thing that I wanted to get at was how big this was when it came out on the NES, because Konami like hastily put together a video game based off of it, and it is a very weird video game.
The very first one, pretty mediocre.
It's just, and it's weird. It's a very odd video game.
The enemies are like nothing you recognize. There's like a on fire guy, like what?
Like a Human Torch, a guy with a chainsaw, which that has never been a thing in Ninja Turtles, like comics or otherwise.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Like
no.
Casey Jones was supposed to be the kiddie version of that, and he's a good guy.
Yeah. He's not like a serial murder character, really.
Yeah, he's supposed to look like Jason Voorhees, except like
he's a good guy. He's an ally.
He has a hockey stick. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a very odd game. So there's an adventure overhead mode to the game, where you go into each level and try to get around.
Yeah.
You can even die that way. Like you can get crushed by like a steamroller kind of bad guy.
Yeah.
While that happens, which is really unfair because your lives are tied to the turtles.
That's
turtles
true.
Yeah, lives.
It's not like, oh no, you've lost a life. Like you've lost a turtle. I hope it wasn't Donatello.
Yeah. Donatello.
It's like Bloodstained, right? The new Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, the NES style game. Your lives are your characters.
Yeah. The very best character in that is, of course, Donatello. He has the longest reach. And this is a 2D action game. Once you go into each of the like areas, but it's a very unfair game. It has constant respawns, and
Yeah.
it has a random element to it that it throws people way off. Like, the enemies do not spawn the same way all the time in a predictable way. Sometimes the levels will have a completely different like enemy set in it than
That is
than you're
bizarre.
used to. Very odd game. Bebop and Rocksteady from the cartoon are in there, so I'm suspecting that this game was churned out after the first 4 episodes, which are basically the pilot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was basically like almost like an OVA. The first 4 episodes were all produced together, and that was all you got for a while. Kind of like the beginning of Ren and Stimpy. The beginning of Ren and Stimpy was like that. You like a trial run.
Sure.
And I'm sure like a lot of kids programming was done like that because you wanted to see if it took, because like, animation's expensive, especially back then. You couldn't just churn out animation back then. It was, you had to make it. There was some really good Japanese animation in those first 4 episodes, and then they kind of gotten like less and less quality as time goes on. But so like just kind of like when Konami had to make the Simpsons beat 'em up, they had to like come
they
up
had
with
to work with like what they had, and what they had was like
season
episode
1 stuff.
0.5 of The Simpsons.
Yeah,
like the drunk guy you fight in the bar. Like you might have seen that guy once in an episode at some point, but he's not Barney.
yeah.
Like they have a bunch of Life in Hell references, which The Simpsons is just. They dropped that who knows how long ago.
They had a dream sequence because they couldn't think of enough characters to like that existed in the show. So they came up with a whole bunch of like fantasy characters that didn't exist in the show.
Was Smith? I forgot. It's been
Smithers
a long
was
time.
black in it. Yeah.
I was just gonna mention. Yeah,
Yeah.
Smithers was black. Like that was such an early thing in the show.
Yeah. I mean, they knew enough to make Mr. Burns the bad guy, which is perfect. But
yeah, that is pretty good. Yeah, and the plot. I mean the plot, but that seems like an old Simpsons gag. Like Maggie accidentally got a diamond instead of her pacifier.
Yeah.
Whoops. Shenanigans.
That's not out of character. That's not.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Yeah.
But like, it's actually the game might be better animated than the show at that point, because like the first season's weird. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
It was a classic. Scupo
Classic
joint.
Supo?
Joint, yeah. The makers of Rugrats and Ah Real Monsters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But and As Told by Ginger and Wild Thornberries, all those. And Rocket Power. They made Rocket Power.
Rocket Power's all right.
Yeah, Rocket Power was all right. Extreme Kids, man. But
with Extreme Cool Dad.
They also made Duckman, so that's all I got to say about that. But it's Klasky Chupo, yeah, I think is how you explain. Try showing that name, that company name, to a kid and see what you get, because like
it's like more complicated than Gendy Tartakovsky.
At least you could sound that one out.
Yeah, it's long, but you can read it. Yeah.
Yeah, nah. People still have hard time with Klasky Chupo. But anyway, they didn't have a whole lot to work with. So like April's in it, Splinter's in it. Once you rescue them.
Wait, what? Oh, you're back to Turtles.
Yeah, Turtles, the NES game. But it is extremely hard. It is not programmed well. It has some like bullshit moments where it's extremely hard to avoid, like certain bad guys and certain falls.
Yeah.
There is a gap in the second world. Where
is this the video game nerd famous clip? Yeah, where you can't jump it, but if you just walk fast enough, you just go over it. Why is there even a gap?
Yeah, exactly. So it's meant to trick you into thinking you have to jump over it, but you really just move forward through it.
Yeah, you were a fool because you thought the game would make more sense than it does.
And then the second area culminates in one of the hardest sequences, like it's up there with like speeder bikes, where people just stop playing the game after that. They enjoy playing the first 2 areas of the game, and then you get to a stop gap where almost everybody stops playing because it's hard as shit. But you have to disarm. It's a time sequence where you have to disarm bombs at a dam, and they are in a maze of electric seaweed. And
so like, don't touch the edges or you get severely hurt.
It's like playing Operation.
It kind of is, yeah.
The swimming is very sluggish, and moving through the electric seaweed is very difficult because you don't move very precisely.
This sequence was famous enough to have been referenced in Cuphead a little bit.
It's really terribly designed. It's one of those sequences that you could tell were put in just so like kids wouldn't be renting the game; they would want to buy it so they could beat it, kind of thing. It's one of those sequences that people bought those Jeff Robin books, like How to Win It in Nintendo games back in the day.
Oh god, with the awesome Radical 80s CG covers.
Oh yeah. I know I did. I only got through it when I was a kid because of one of those Jeff Robin books. So I finally got through that, and the third area is bullshit too, but it's not as bad.
You know what? I think I might have actually picked up from one of those books a little secret in that game. There's a boomerang power up you can use. Mm-hmm. And if you throw the boomerang and switch turtles before it gets back to you, so the new turtle catches the boomerang, then guess what? Now that turtle has that power up too.
Oh, wow.
So you don't have to pick it up with all 4 turtles. You can pick it up with 1 turtle and just pass it along.
That is a good trick. Wow.
I don't know if that was clever game design or like exploiting the game, but either way, good for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's an exploit, because the game was not programmed well. It just wasn't. It was extremely popular because it was a Ninja Turtles game, and like people were starved for content. Yeah. They wanted something to go. Nintendo was really hot at the time, so like Mario Brothers was a big thing. Mario 2 was a big thing. Playing Contra. So people wanted to play Turtles. So it is one of the best-selling games for the system as a result. Copies of it are dirt cheap. Also, the music is fantastic. The music in that game is really, really, really good, especially for an early NES game. And the cover is awesome. Very confusing for people that didn't know that the Turtles were originally a comic. And all had red bandanas.
We briefly mentioned this last week, but the cover is just straight up one of the comic covers,
and one of the best ones, I might add. And it is once again, it is the cover of the reprint of issue 4. So just to give you an idea of how early this is in Turtle Mania, really. So they didn't have a whole lot to work on. There weren't many comics. There weren't many cartoons. I don't think the movie was out yet. The game does get a shout out in The Wizard, if you ever saw The Wizard with Fred Savage in it.
Nice.
But nobody beat this game when I was a kid. I don't know anybody who even got to Technodrome, which is supposed to be like near impossible to beat. Like
I've seen it done on a speed run. Like that place looks brutal.
Yeah, and you somehow fight like you grow gigantic and fight like the Technodrome, like that's the last boss.
That's great.
Like somehow the Technodrome is many floors high.
It's one of those things where like the Japanese Transformers game, the boss is just the Decepticon symbol. Like I don't know, whatever.
Exactly, but nobody ever got that far. I got to the party wagon in the 3rd area, and that's about where I've stopped. Game is really hard. In order to, you can rescue a turtle to get a life back, but like most of them are useless, or half of them are useless. So like Michelangelo and especially Raphael. Raphael is awful. He might as well not even exist. He's actually only there so you can lose him while defusing bombs, because all the turtles are the same underwater. So And then around the same time, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, where Konami. I should also say, just real quick, that game was made with like the same programming team as a game called Getsu Fumaden on the Famicom. That was like a horror themed Konami game that has similar like you could tell the weapons move the same and kind of like the jumping physics are very similar.
Oh, nice!
But the game is really good. It's a pretty good game. And I recommend playing that, and you'll be like, wow, this does play like Turtles if it were really pretty good. So definitely do that. The original Turtles game, I should say. But yeah, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, was coming out around the same time. Had a lot more going on in it. You're fighting foot soldiers constantly. The representations of Bebop and Rocksteady are really cool in the game. Really, one of the... I think it's probably one of the first, if not the first, 4-player simultaneous beat-em-up game. I can't think of anything before that, can you?
Did The Simpsons come before it?
Around the same time.
Okay.
It has to be around the same time. The Simpsons might be a year later.
Oh, okay.
If that. Let me see. Simpsons, the arcade game.
Yeah, I don't know this at all. I'm trying to think of games that even... Yeah, I really can't think of 4-player. I can only think of like 2-player stuff for the really old stuff.
Yeah, Simpsons arcade game came out in 1991.
Okay.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think that's a 90 joint.
Okay.
If I'm...
Well, got me there then. Yeah, I can't think of anything that would have been 4-player at that time.
Yeah, arcade game is 1989, even earlier than
wow.
That. So, yeah. So it came out 2 years before that. So I can't think of anything. Maybe Crime Busters? Most of them are like 3-player, if anything. 2 or 3-player. I can't think of anything that was 4-player. But yeah, this was a lot more fun. It was a quarter muncher. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know how you can get through like the highway level, especially without dying a lot. You know, that's where the helicopters are. But it is a fun beat 'em up.
The music's brilliant.
Shredder is an asshole in that game because he can auto kill you. He could just mutagen you.
Yeah, I mean, he could do that in any of the games, but that's also like his easiest attack to avoid. But if it hits you, then yeah, you're just dead. But what was annoying about Shredder in the arcade game and the NES, it's not exactly a direct port because the NES has more levels, but what's annoying about Shredder in that game is that after a point, he produces a clone. So you have 2 final bosses. So as you fight him, I think you knock the mask off of one of them, and that's the real one. But having to deal with 2 Shredders is some bullshit. Like, even in Turtles in Time, he did not pull that level of shenanigans.
Yeah, so, you just alluded to it. There was a famous NES port called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to the arcade game. So, like, the arcade game didn't have that, like, 2 signifier, but they did it for the NES just because, the first game had already been released. And it is a much better game, and people rented this game like crazy. This was a really popular game.
I think I might have mentioned this before, but it's kind of like Golden Axe in that obviously there's going to be a graphical and animation downgrade because it's like a home console title and not an arcade release. But there was more content, and it wasn't quite the quarter muncher it used to be because you already paid full price for it.
Yeah, the NES one was a lot of fun. It was only 2-player. It had a lot of flickering, but it played really well. It had amazing music.
Yeah, the music is still good.
Yeah, it's very iconic in a lot of ways.
It had a coupon for Pizza Hut.
It did have a coupon for Pizza Hut. It had all kinds of little touches in it, like there's a girl that skateboards by, and you can mess with her.
Yeah, and if you hit them, they go like, ah, jeez.
Yeah, she screams.
That came back in something recently.
It came back in Contra Rebirth. That girl on the cowering on the skateboard like zooms by in like while everybody's like fleeing the city. Yeah, but like an official Konami game referenced it, which is
that is
even
kind of
more
funny.
hilarious.
We did that.
Yeah, but this was a really fun game. The NES version had 2 extra levels, or maybe 1 extra level.
One
It
or
had
two. There was an ice level, and
ice level.
you know what? Was that like Japanese style, like the panel doors? Was that NES?
Yeah, I don't know. No, that was Hyperstone Heist, I think. But yeah,
Huh.
this one was cool because it had a winter level.
Yeah, that was definitely an NES new level.
And it had a unique boss that didn't appear in anything else called Tora.
I don't
And
even remember that.
he's a wolf. Yeah, he's
Oh.
a wolf in like in a leather coat. I just
Yeah.
linked you the picture of him.
New Mutant.
Yeah.
But you know what that reminds me of? Like I'm jumping ahead a little bit, so I'm not gonna dwell on this. But there's another character. Oh yeah, I remember this. But there's another character or mutant or whatever that is exclusive to one Ninja Turtles video game and never has shown up in anything else. You might be able to think of more stuff than that, but I'm thinking of one in particular. Was actually, in Tournament Fighters, was Wingnut ever in anything?
Wingnut was from the comics, I
Okay,
think.
so in that
Yeah.
case, all right, in that case, I could think of just one character that I think has only ever been in a video game, other than that wolf you mentioned. Any idea where this could
Well,
possibly be?
the girl in Tournament Fighters, I think, right?
Oh shit! So that makes two then. Yeah,
Yeah,
Asuka in Tournament Fighters.
Asuka.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know why they had her because like April was in the Genesis version. So I guess you're right.
Mm.
There's Asuka, but I was gonna mention the Genesis version. Sisyphus. He's like some sort
Oh,
of like beetle-looking guy.
yeah. I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
no.
he exists in that universe alone.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna get to that. Believe me. But the NES version of arcade game was just a ton of fun. It had limited continues, so you had to be really good at it to get to the end. I still can't beat it, even with a friend,
Yeah, that game
even
is
if we know what
hard.
we're doing.
When I was a
Um,
kid, I think I made it up to level 3 once and immediately died. That game was tough.
my old roommate, that I was living with when I met my wife, we used to play it um, like maybe once a week to see if we could get through it all the way.
Yeah.
And we'd always get to Shredder, and he would just murder us.
Yeah, Shredder's
So
ridiculous in that game.
yeah, he's probably the hardest he ever was in that game.
Yeah,
But
I definitely remember, like, I've beaten Turtles in Time. Like, that
mhm.
Shredder was not straight up bullshit. He was, like, cool final boss.
I definitely recommend if you are going to play the NES version, play it on one of the new FPGA systems and like turn off sprite limiting
Yeah.
because it is really good at taking away the flicker. Um, and it looks really good that way, and probably the best way you can play it. It's really good that way. You could either do that on Mister, or I think you could probably do that with the NT Mini Noir, and the AVS. I think the AVS has that as well. The removal of the sprite limiting.
Nice.
So it's basically like an overclocked NES. Really cool stuff. Yeah, I can't, what I have to say is like these games were good because they represented the characters well. Like they were well animated. They looked good. They looked like their counterparts. It sounded good. It had
Yeah,
all
the
the
little
style
cutscene
elements.
stuff had the comic book style, like,
Exactly.
cowabunga, word balloons above their heads when they talk. Like, it's great.
Yeah. So the arcade version and that one are really good. Then I'm gonna move on to not the third game quite yet, Lotus. There's a game before that. So the first Game Boy game, Fall of the Foot Clan,
Oh, I forgot about
came
that.
out
I
for
thought you were
this.
going to mention NES Tournament Fighters, but yeah, I completely forgot about Fall of the Foot Clan.
Yeah, Fall of the Foot Clan was actually a really fun game. It certainly had limitations in the Game Boy, like the sprite of the whatever turtle you were playing of at the time took up most of the screen, so it did have like that
Yeah,
like
it's like Game
limited.
Boy Mega Man, which is super hard
Yeah,
because you can't see
exactly.
what's in front of you because you take up so much real estate.
But it did have some really fun mini games in it, and I really liked playing this one, and I was able to beat it as a kid. So I really enjoyed this one. This one's a lot of fun. It's simplistic. It's on the easy side. Like I said, even as a kid, I could beat this one no problem. But I liked it a lot, and I liked the art of the the cover art of this game too. It just looks neat. Classic Ninja Turtle style. It looks very similar to the Mirage stuff, with the like the domino mask style. You can't see their eyeballs. I really love the look of that. But then you do have the Manhattan Project. This is kind of the game that's always forgotten when you talk about the Ninja Turtles video games, even the mainstream ones, because this game is not a port of anything. It is a unique title for the NES that came out very late in the lifespan of the NES. So
that's
NES...
the one that I always picture as being Turtles 3, even though the Game Boy game is actually called Turtles 3.
Yeah, so this is one's called Turtles 3: The Manhattan Project.
Oh, they're both Turtles 3. Okay.
Yeah. No, this one has a Roman numeral 3. It has a Triceraton on the cover, but I don't think any are in the game.
Not that I remember, but you do have Toka and Raza from The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah. So we'll get to the second movie. I guess we should talk about that after this. But this was a really fun game. So what was cool about this one is they differentiated the turtles even more in this. Their special moves when you press like attack and jump at the same time are all unique.
I think Raphael had like different. The Psycho Crusher from M. Bison, where he just corkscrew spins across the screen. Michelangelo's, I think, was the weakest. He just did like a donkey kick.
Yeah.
And what did Leo do? Spin with his katanas?
Yeah, I think he did that.
They're not katanas. They're called something else, but fuck it, they're katanas.
They're katanas. Yeah. They are katanas.
Well, no, because katanas have a curve. His swords are just straight. Yeah, but like
they're called katana. They're called katana in the series. So
are they actually? I remember them being called something that I forgot the name of.
No, they're called katana. I know that for a fact. Yeah. They are ninjatos.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But they always refer to them as katanas in like the art.
I mean, to be fair, katana just means sword in Japanese.
Yeah, they are ninjatos, but
yeah, no one's calling them that.
Yeah, I always heard they were katanas.
Well, anyway, they look very similar.
Yeah, but anyway, you are right. They are straight, and they have a hilt, which not every katana has a hilt. So yeah. But anyway, these were just a lot of fun. The music in this one is really good. The environments are really cool. It has a beach theme in the beginning of the game, so that's a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah.
And Shredder steals the entire island of Manhattan in it. It has nothing to do with the atomic bomb.
Yeah, it's very similar to a game we'll go into maybe next time or something. But the Hyperstone heist where he steals multiple cities.
Yeah,
or was it just again?
There's always a damsel. It's either April, Splinter, or entire cities.
Yeah.
But this game is overlooked a lot, and I have to say, kind of its counterpart that's also overlooked a lot is Batman Returns for the NES. It is basically, it looks like it's made by the same people, and has like similar graphic style and everything. Very good. Both of them are very, very good. But I enjoy this one quite a bit. Definitely give this one a shot. I mean, again, it's 2-player only, but the graphics are better than the last time around, and they have a lot of personality. And the bosses are super fun. They have like weird versions of Bebop and Rocksteady. Like
they're pirate themed because they're on the pirate level. And I remember
no, that's Turtles in Time.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. This one he has Bebop has a chain ball head. Like he has like a ball and chain on his head that he swings around.
Oh wow, I do remember that.
Yeah. So like they're like unusual.
Yeah, that's what he went with.
Versions of themselves, and I really like this game. It's really good. But definitely go back to it. But we should talk about the second movie while we're at it. So
second movie's great. I mean, like the first movie is the better movie, but I love the second movie.
The second movie has a lot of slapstick in it.
We mentioned this briefly last time, but they toned down. Like the Turtles never used their weapons in the whole movie. They toned that down for like probably my guess is for international audiences, like Europe in particular.
It's a lot of little kid stuff too. Yeah.
Well, Europe
yeah.
never even called them the Ninja Turtles. I don't know when they finally started, but they called them Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. Like, they didn't use the word ninja.
Yeah, they had some kind of weird thing about nunchucks especially in
because
England.
you know how everybody's using nunchucks. Like, that shit's hard to do. You'll hit yourself before you hit the opponent.
Yeah, they're not an effective. They're not an
pick
effective
up a fucking like a stick.
weapon in a modern
modern
life.
You have to be good with nunchucks to like be dangerous with them. Like, just pick up like a stick. That's more of a weapon that you could use immediately.
So this is Secret of the Ooze. This is this came out in '91. There are some famous like voices doing the voices of the turtles. I think one of them's Corey Feldman.
Oh, nice.
Let me see here. No, maybe. I think that's only in the first one. Guess who Splinter is though?
Is he different from the first movie?
I think so.
Wow, I have no idea.
Kevin Clash, the voice of Elmo.
All right.
Is Splinter and
really
also the
baby
from Dinosaurs.
Wow.
Yeah, Baby Sinclair. From that. Yeah, but and this movie is where they introduce Token Rezar, as you say.
A snapping turtle and a wolf?
A baby wolf.
Yeah, they're both babies.
Yeah, they're babies.
They are babies.
So yeah, this was this was the first appearance of Muppet a Muppet production since Jim Henson died the year before. So I think they dedicated this movie to him.
And speaking of first appearances, by the way, like we mentioned earlier that they're in the Manhattan Project as bosses, Toka and Raza. But speaking of first appearances, Tatsu was Shredder's right-hand man in the first and second movie. And even though it looks and acts nothing like him, there's a boss called Tatsu in the Hyperstone Heist, which is basically the Genesis release of Turtles in Time.
Yeah. We're gonna get to that, but Turtles. And, what was cool about this point is the video game started to take on some of the aspects of the movies and the cartoon, which was pretty cool. They didn't really have much to do with the comics, but Toka and Rezar, they were kind of like, people were always wondering where the hell Bebop and Rocksteady were.
It took until like the 2010s for them to show up. Like, that's unbelievable. Well, there were animated movies, I guess.
Yeah, people were wondering where the hell they were. They were because they were popular bad guys in the TV show, but it's because the movies are basically based off of comics. So they brought in the evil mutants, which are Toka and Rezar, but it turns out the Shredder was stupid and picked juvenile, not even teenage.
That was the whole thing. Like, they weren't evil. They're just babies that have power enough to be a threat. So, like, if you just give them, like, treats or whatever, then it's over. Like, that's just it. Like, I don't know what they were thinking with that one. It was a clever idea for the movie, but I don't know what the bad guys were thinking with that one.
There were some cool things about this movie, though. I really like the abandoned train station that they end up taking over. I thought that was a cool set.
Yeah.
But yeah, Toka and Rezar are introduced during a Vanilla Ice concert. Not even joking.
Well, they're not introduced. That's like the final fight of the movie. That's like the very end of the movie.
I thought that's when they were introduced.
No, they're the villains through the whole movie. Like the Vanilla Ice thing
it's been a long time since
the Vanilla Ice thing was when the Turtles came to meet them to fight them. This time prepared with those donuts that had those cubes that they need to eat. Like, they found the cubes. So they start getting thrown around in the parking lot when their plan doesn't work. And then one of them gets thrown into a wall, which crashes down, revealing a Vanilla Ice concert inches away from their street fight. And they're like, what? And then they are able to fill their... Like, they spray fire extinguishers into them, because I think carbon monoxide is, like, a key ingredient. So Toka and Raza like end in the Vanilla Ice concert. That's where the whole Go Ninja Go thing comes, where everyone's cheering them on. It's so stupid, but so charming.
And Vanilla Ice's only other hit other than that Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah, and it's very amazing that his entire backup crew knows the choreography for that song when he came up with it on the spot. When he saw Ninja Turtles fighting, and instead of going, what the fuck, mutants of different species are fighting, he's just like, no, I can make a song out of this, and everyone's in with it.
Yeah, Rob Van Winkle, everybody. But and then Shredder takes the Ooze himself in this, and mutates himself and just makes him big and stupid. And
it was so cool, and then he immediately defeats himself. Like, he is just out of the movie. That was like, what a reveal, and then he's gone. And like he was cool enough to be like in multiple video games like Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time, even though those are really the same game. There was an action figure of him, like, and he's in the movie for like a minute, like literally a minute.
I just love the concept that he mutates into like a spinier version of his costume.
I actually like that quite a bit. Like if the mutagen assumes that like everything it touches is part of the organism, it makes me like, this is such a stupid connection to make.
Yeah.
But it was still unironically the coolest part of the movie. Jason X, where like he gets killed so bad that he might have actually died, but he lands on the regeneration machine, which doesn't distinguish between flesh and anything else. It's just like, whatever you put on me, I'm gonna fix. So it made his mask his face. Like, so Super Shredder was that. His costume got bigger. I was okay with that, but he just immediately took himself out.
Yeah. This movie is goofy and all, but it is still a fun go, especially for kids.
It's to be fair, it is intentionally goofy. Like, it's not just like fun to laugh at because it's bad goofy. Like, it's actively trying. Oh, by the way, it also has I forget if this is the first movie or the second movie.
What's that?
I forget if this is the first or the second movie. I want to say the second. The part where they suspect the Foot Clan is nearby. I think like at least one turtle was captured, or they're hunting for Splinter or whatever. And like I know the bad guys are out there. And then Raphael just goes, Shredder! Like, just startling everybody. Nobody prompted that. And Donatello's like, thanks a lot, Raph. I'm never gonna have the hiccups again. It was great.
Yeah, no, that's from the second one.
That was great. Just Shredder! Like, I don't know. We're like, Jesus.
Shredder. But yeah, I was a big fan of this movie, and I so much so that I watched it all the time, and I memorized like all the trailers before the movie because
I memorized Suburban Commando and nothing else.
Yeah, Suburban Commando.
Take a seat. Funny, very funny.
But this is a good stopping point because for today, because we got to move on to fan stuff, and the fourth game.
Anything to stop talking before we get to the third movie.
The fourth game is really one of probably the high point of the series, and especially in terms of video games. So, and one of the best Super Nintendo games.
It's way up there.
It's 16-bit games. It's really really fun. So I'm gonna stop it right there because I can't do one of the best Super Nintendo games justice, in a short amount of time. So we gotta move on. We'll come back next week though with more stuff here.
Right. So we have a few comments. We have School Filmer left a couple of comments. One of them was Bethesda. Haven't played Skyrim in a long time, but I did quite enjoy it, even if the occasional glitch showed up, like a dead dragon suddenly showing up unexpectedly upon landing in the area I fast travel to. Also,
replace him with Randy Savage. You won't be.
Replace him with Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
No, Randy Savage though really is like,
boom,
yeah, boom. He breathes the fire on you, like, oh shit, Macho Man, sky's the limit. But yeah, also I finished Bloody Bunny the game, and trying to beat the final boss without any cups of noodles, which restores your health back to full once depleted, by the way, was quite tough, but I did it. And it seems the game has grown on me quite a bit as I enjoy it more now than my first go-through. Still has a few bugs to iron out, as well as questionable English text, like the tutorial text. Perform execution... Oh yeah, instead of performing, perform execution will heal Bunny. Yeah, a little jank. Healing from execution, have cooldown. Yeah, so stuff like that. A little funky. LP would have had a field day when they're picking these. Yeah, I do quite enjoy how well they've translated the animation to a game, even if the giant cat statue is different. That doesn't look like a corrupted Doraemon, even down to the Dorayaki being turned into fish or Taiyaki. And yes, they could do something about Bunny's run speed, which was a bit slow. Didn't stop others from speedrunning it so far. Maybe a no-damage boss run will be possible after all. Also, I spent time with the twins again. However, wasn't at their place this time, but rather my neighbors. We played games, ate hamburgers, I showed off my drawings to them, they got to see my apartment, and we went for a walk. Coming out of my shell has never felt so good. Aw, yeah. And then the other comment by School Filmer. Don't know much about TMNT other than the game from 2007, which I liked. Also, looking back at the frustrating bosses question, I got 3 in 1 here. Bloody Bunny the game. There's an endless mode after the story's finished. 50 floors of enemies with the occasional boss. Wow. And the final floor has not one, but 3 in the same room all at once. Dr. Kiki, Kuma, and the final boss. One excels at range, one hits like a truck if you let him in, and one is the final boss. That fucking sucks. I did see what happens at the end, and it's nothing to write home about. It just says, Bloody Bunny will return. Just like it was after the final cutscene in story mode.
Wow.
USA LA Sierra says, PS4 White Day is the only recent game I can think of that really scared me, so I'm pretty excited about the sequel. And speaking of niche games, I finished Disaster Report 4. Congratulations!
Yeah,
was impressed by the visuals, and despite it being, again, about an earthquake, it differentiates enough from the rest, although I should advise that it goes into dark territory a few times. Yeah, I've heard that about it.
Like some content warning kind of stuff?
Yeah. The human element. And then Living Corpse says, this is regarding Friday the 13th, Jason once used a spear or gun. Even when he uses a gun, it has to be something big, scary, and stabby. That is a good point. Seriously. I forgot about that. I think he even leans on the tree to fire it, too. So our question, now, we only have one question left after this. Just want to throw this one out there. But here's the question from Fakafon.
Love that guy.
If you could make a game using another game as a template, which would you choose? I would go with Makai Kingdom, personally.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, since I bet I could easily fit my own webcomics characters and universe in that kind of setting and gameplay. Actually, addendum to that, in what type of game would you set your podcast? So yeah, if we took a game as a groundwork for another game, what would you do? I don't even know where I'd begin with this one. I'm trying to think of, like, those hybrid games that people came up with, like the Final Fantasy VII fan-made beat-em-up kind of thing, or like Half-Life 2 played Hotline Miami style, something like that.
You know what I would do? And they had like the Ghost Rider game that was kind of like God of War at the time, right?
Oh God, I don't even know. I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, that I've heard of it, but I didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah. It was like a Ghost Rider game for like the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movies.
Yeah.
But the way I'm thinking of it, this just came into my head. But Castlevania: Portrait of Ruin. You know how you switch between Jonathan and Charlotte.
Is this GBA or is this DS?
It's on the DS. It's the second one on the DS. I could imagine Lotus Prince, vysethebold. Just like switching back and forth.
Every time you switch, and I'm vysethebold. It's just like Double Dragon, Neon, and Jimmy. It's the funniest shit.
And yeah, I love that. And Jimmy. But yeah. I call on you to like pontificate while the boss is just like listening to you and just like their head falls off. Like
they're just like, I'm done with this shit. I'm bored. Go away.
I'm getting out of here. I'm bored.
There's a unique content difference here compared to the way this boss last fought us. I don't care.
Well, as you can see, there's only 4 levels in this version of God Hand. And,
but that's expected because it's a prototype. But even so, if they were to expand it, I don't. Whatever.
And this one allows you to use the DualShock.
The soundtrack is compromised as a result.
No, I think that would be a riot. I mean, I would love to have a Metroidvania starring the cast of the podcast, including Fakafon, I might add. So like he could be the merchant, or Old Man Stompy.
What are you buying?
Old Man Stompy can be our mission guy, and we can have Pyro in there doing something. But yeah, I mean, that would be a riot. I would love that kind of like fan Metroidvania. Kind of like they did a bunch of licensed Metroidvanias by like the same company. Like they made Lunar Nights and the Toho one, and then they also made that like Shin Megami Tensei one. That same company made that SMT branded Metroidvania. So I always thought that was cool. So you can do a lot with a Metroidvania. I think that would be neat. Obviously Lotus would be a magic user compared to me. I'd be the berserker, or the heavy, I guess.
I'm trying to think here, I mean, I've been playing Souls-like stuff lately, so I was trying to think because you had mentioned Castlevania, and I remembered that Cainhurst in Bloodborne is basically like, what if Castlevania were in the Souls universe, and that would be Castle Cainhurst. But I'm trying to think, if you actually had a Castlevania that was actually a Souls-like, and I don't mean like a Metroidvania, like a 3D Souls-like, that'd be potentially interesting. But also, one other thing that might, this wouldn't be my ultimate dream or anything, but just conceptually be interesting, an on-a-rails shooter, and this isn't a particular game template, just the idea of an on-a-rails shooter. They've already done it with Silent Hill, which is weird, but, it'd be interesting if they did it with Doom. I know it's not the same, because the whole thing with Doom is running around and blowing stuff up, and on-a-rails takes that away from you.
That would be fun, though.
But it would be interesting to see very specifically designed camera angles to show off Doom. The closest we have is VFR, which is not bad. But I'm just picturing a straight up on a rail shooter.
Well, that would be really cool, considering you could have the modern Doom music too, which has been great.
Since, Castlevania had an on a rail shooter as well. By the way, I just want to throw that one out there. But yeah, Doom could be interesting.
Yeah, that would be neat. Do you have any answer on how what we could base? What kind of game we can base the podcast
if we start
on?
a podcast in that.
How about
I'm really drawing a blank for that one.
How about a puzzle game, kind of two characters facing each other? That would be a lot of fun with wincing.
Actually, maybe something like Coffee Talk, or that Valhalla game where you're just at a bar, just the whole point is chatting anyway. That's kind of cheating as an answer, but that could make sense.
Oh yeah, and I could be making cocktails in the background,
And I'll be desperately trying to distract the customer while waiting for your thing to finish. Pick a topic of conversation. He'll be done in 3 minutes. What can I talk about for 3 minutes?
Come into Vise's library room.
Yeah, there we go.
I might do a filming of that eventually once it gets all together, just to show it online. I'll put something up.
What, your games library?
Yeah.
That is gorgeous, by the way. Because remember, I've been to Vice's place once now, where we recorded that podcast where we explicitly mentioned we were there. Yeah, that room is something else.
Yeah, you mostly saw the potential of it because
it's like a walk-in closet where the walls are video games. It's there we go.
Yeah, and we don't have the bar set up yet, but it's being commissioned right now. So
sure.
I'm going to I've done a bunch of things. I have color changing floodlights in the ceiling now too.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so it's gonna be really cool. I even
so now you gotta have a Streets of Rage 3 boss fight in there.
Well, the funny thing is, I have my record player down there from the '60s. Sure. Because that was my dad's record player growing up.
So play that fuck. What is that? I'm flaking on this one. The guy who did Sexualizer.
Oh yeah. Perturbator.
Yeah. I was thinking Carpenter Brute because somebody mentioned that recently, and he's also done Hotline Miami 2 stuff. But yeah, Perturbator.
I actually played Perturbator while I was working on the library a couple weeks ago. On there, it was really good.
So good.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is, I bought the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack on vinyl.
Oh,
recently,
baby.
And I'm gonna play it on that while tending bar in my own fucking bar.
The real folk blues.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sitting there
there we go.
I don't even smoke, but I'll mimic it. Just this is it. This is some smooth jazz going on, or maybe even the Harmonica Kid. That episode.
Or get the Big O. Did you ever watch the Big O?
Big O was really good. I never watched it all the way through. I've seen it like
I don't remember the name of the track, but that da na 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 na, like it has a really laid back track to it.
I'm thinking the saxophone stuff and the harmonica episode of Cowboy Bebop. You know, with the kid who can't die, who can't age. I just imagine that playing in the background. You know, while you come in for frosty chocolate milkshakes.
Frosty chocolate milkshakes. And I'm badly animated. Well, not badly, but awkwardly animated.
Yeah. I'm thinking about putting up bar signs, but I'm gonna have like Sega one and a Nintendo one. You know.
Yeah. Are you gonna get the neon fluorescent lights up there?
Oh, like, that's what
that make word. Yeah, in words.
Yeah. We have a few that we're thinking about.
Get some of the Paprium levels, like fluorescent bar stuff in the background. They got some
I'm gonna have one that says Pine Pot. From Streets of Rage 2.
I don't even remember that.
It's the bar that's in the background of what Walco Straight is playing.
Sure.
Pine Pot.
Wow.
It's the most iconic like of the storefronts in like level 1.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's like a pink and yellow.
Sure.
Fluorescent sign. But no, I was thinking
when somebody comes into your bar area, you'll be shaking a drink, and then you run away, and then they walk into the parking lot and you just start fighting them.
I'm barbing.
You're barbing. You do a nasty roundhouse. You know what's funny? In Streets of Rage 4.
Come on.
Have you played Streets of Rage 4 yet?
Yes.
Because he's actually like legitimately a scary boss in 4.
Oh yeah.
Like out of nowhere.
yeah. It's cool. But no, there are a few bar signs that I wanted. I wanted Guinness because it's my favorite beer, and it's a very iconic like.
And you've been to the brewery.
Like Guinness means a lot to me because like I visited the brewery, and that's where I stayed with Retro Gamer when I went to Ireland, and it's also an iconic looking drink to begin with, like the way that it looks.
It holds the record for being your favorite drink.
But there's some other stuff like my wife really likes Sugar Skulls, for instance, and the Day of the Dead Sugar Skulls.
Yes.
The iconic aesthetic. Day of the Dead.
Show her Grim Fandango, by the way. She'll fucking flip.
She loves them. So like that motif is in her house all over the place, and Bud Light put out a sign Corona put out a sign that has a sugar skull. So I was thinking about doing that. Even though it's not one of the beers that I drink.
Yeah, it's not a video game. Fuck
basis. It. Yeah, well, no, the video game stuff is going to go in the library room. But
you know what you need to do is you need to blow up and frame a picture of chili and pepper. Which nobody will understand.
So it's a joke for no one. It's a joke for me, Lotus, and Perry.
Even your wife is like barely
oblivious of it until it was way too late to know about it. But I named my pets after an obscure double character in a really terrible FMV fighting game called Battle Monsters. So I named my pets Chili and Pepper after a bad FMV video game that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I mean, like Chili Dog, like you can get away with that.
Well, it's a pun on many ways. It's chili and as in chili and pepper. The cat's name was Pepper to begin with, so that's where it all came from.
Pleasant coincidence, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, well, what are we gonna do once we get the dog? And I was like,
I have just the thing.
Chili checks off all my boxes. It is a pun in 2 different ways.
Yep.
And we call her Chili Dog. We do, and my wife loves calling her Chili Dog. Like, oh, it's Chili Dog! Chili Dog is here! Her name is Chili, but we call her Chili Dog all the time. And we call Pepper Cat. So, we called Pepper Cat always. So calling Chili Dog was just fit right, it fit right, and it's great. But blow up a picture of that fighter from the FMV game. It would be so funny.
Put their victory quote below it.
Oh, it's just
whatever
so
rhyming
funny.
bullshit they say.
But like there's another sign like I just kind of want it because it's kitschy. There's like an old Spuds McKenzie sign. I'm not a Bud Light fan, obviously. I don't drink Bud Light, but Spuds McKenzie just because he's the original party animal and it's stupid to sell beer with a dog, like a real dog. He was a real dog. like why is he selling me beer?
Yeah.
And of course they did Slurms McKenzie after that, that kind of thing. So,
yeah, I didn't even realize that that's what that was at first.
Oh, it's a parody of Spuds McKenzie. I could show you the commercials. It'll remind you of like Pizza Hut kind of commercials from that era. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean that would be a lot of fun. I think, if we get as big as the Angry Video Game Nerd, maybe we can come out with our own video game when
we get his
he has he's so damn successful. I really love what he's done with his career. He's just been so good at it. But I'm jealous. I'm jealous because he's kept it going, and it's gotten bigger over time. I mean, Gilbert Gottfried,
no kidding,
like out of nowhere. But I think
the guy who was in the cutscenes of Pepsi Man,
Mike
Butters, the actual guy,
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah,
he's had a lot of celebrities.
Macaulay Culkin was just making the rounds. He showed up with Red Little Media shortly before that.
Macaulay Culkin is just great in general. We just didn't know because he kind of was out of the limelight, but he's just so fucking charming, even as an adult. Man, he's hilarious.
And it's pretty hard to be charming after he, threw bricks at a guy and knocked him over with paint cans and shit. He was a malicious child. Are you guys done, or are you thirsty for more?
Little Joe with a gimpy leg.
You've been smooching everyone.
We have to move on. That is the show for this week.
Yeah.
We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions. That was our last one, wasn't it?
No, we have one more. One more.
Okay. We desperately need more questions because if we don't get one, Lotus is going to have to ask me a question.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do karaoke, and there's going to be some bullshit.
The real folk
Oh, no. I don't know Japanese. Oh, no. This song is still young.
Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. So finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you were interested in seeing my videos early, Platinum Run of Dark Souls 3, baby.
Hell yeah.
Getting in on exclusive live streams, OG Armored Core, and I'm trying for a 100% run. Selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, which that'll come up in the next probably couple of weeks. And getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord. Then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Okay, well then, we'll see you next time, Space Cowboy.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.